Deion Smith is Ole Miss's secret weapon for a long playoff run.
You are Locked On Ole Miss, your daily podcast on the Ole Miss Rebels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hi, I'm Stephen Willis, a former staff member at Ole Miss and a 10-year veteran member of the national media with Yahoo Sports. Today on the show, we talk about Deion Smith being the secret weapon for Ole Miss, who is hoping for a long playoff run. And also, have you noticed opposing fan bases ramping up their hypothetical attacks? It's jealousy, and they're uncomfortable with being behind Ole Miss, and in some cases, that far behind Ole Miss. Also, tonight is the meet and greet. I'll tell you what you can expect. I cannot wait to meet some of the Loon community. So I look forward to that. This is the Locked On Ole Miss podcast, your daily podcast on the Ole Miss Rebels, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. We're free and available in all the podcast apps and on YouTube. Thanks for making Locked On Ole Miss your first listen every day. And a special hello to the everydayers who make the show what it is. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. As playoffs wind down, the sport stops sportsing like we want them to. But this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. Interesting stuff. And I started thinking about keys to the Ole Miss football season. And as it starts getting closer and closer, the shows are going to become much more football centric about keys and things like that. And I started to think, what is the key for Ole Miss to make a long playoff run? And everybody, I asked a question earlier on social media, and, you had Walter Nolen as an answer. Princely Umanmielen was an answer. Jaxson Dart's obviously an answer. But what is the key for a long playoff run? And I keep coming back to Deion Smith. Over and over again, Deion Smith. And all of this talent is there. They're going to be good. We need all of them to perform. But what is the secret for an Ole Miss run in the playoffs? Yes, that's probably Deion Smith. And first of all, it's because he's unbelievably talented. He's one of the most talented wide receivers in the entire nation. Out of junior college, led them in receiving a year ago. He put up some great numbers at Holmes County Community College, to where he had 48 catches, 1,063 yards, 12 TDs. This is like in 7 games, by the way, that he put up those numbers. And just completely freakish numbers put up by Deion Smith. And he is going to be lining up besides, Jordan Watkins, who is going to be there, who had 53 catches a year ago, nearly 750 yards and 3 touchdowns. Juice Wells, the transfer in from South Carolina that has Jaxson Dart really excited. Jaxson Dart at the Manning Passing Academy talked about Juice Wells and what he could be. And then you have the best wide receiver, I think, in the entire country in Trey Harris, who had 54 catches, nearly 1,000 yards and 8 touchdowns a year ago. And that's despite really only playing 9 games. So you can see what the wide receiver room is set up like. So everybody's going to look at all those talented players and say, hey, Steve, why are you saying Deion Smith is a secret weapon? Well, that is because what this young man brings. First of all, his talent is completely undeniable. There's no way you can look at this guy and say, okay, he's just a dude. No, he is going to be one of the better wide receivers on the field, every field that he steps on, just period, even at the next level as far as talent goes. Now, I don't know if he's going to be able to, translate to even the college level or the next level. But that's the reason I say he's a secret weapon and a key for a long playoff run. His talent is there. And because of that talent, the ancillary stuff of him being on the field is what's going to make the offense much more effective. Him being on the field means that Trey Harris cannot be double teamed. If he is, you're going to match up single with Deion Smith, who's unbelievable talented, or Juice Wells in the slot as well, or Caden Priestcorn at tight end. There's matchup problems developing all over the field, sideline to sideline, and Deion Smith brings that added element. Listen, Dayton Wade was a great wide receiver. He had 3 catches a year ago that was SportsCenter top 10 quality. Unbelievable player, but he could be single covered. He did not protect Trey Harris to the point where Trey Harris could not be double covered every play, or the defense had to be creative with who they were doubling, and hopefully they can confuse Jaxson Dart. Dayton Wade, unfortunately, was not able to do that. And if Dayton beat single coverage, all of a sudden a great play happened. But Deion Smith is a guy that you kind of have to pick your poison on the outside between Trey Harris and Deion Smith of who you're going to double, and either one of them can really beat you. And because of that reason, I think the offense is going to be really effective. I think Trey Harris is going to be a much better receiver than he was a year ago. I think Juice Wells is going to open up the middle of the field. I think Caden Prieskorn, if he can stay healthy this season, is going to be a really good player for the Ole Miss Rebels. All of that is because of the talent and the position of Deion Smith. Now, this is going to make the whole offense more explosive, which is going to make life a little bit easier on the defensive side of the ball, which is supposed to be better this year. This is why I said the key for a long playoff run, that missing piece might have been the wide receiver unit. And that's crazy to think of when Ole Miss has 3 700-yard receivers a year ago. But that might be the case. And Deion Smith adding that extra element out wide, left or right, whichever side he's going to play on, is going to help out Trey Harris so much. It's going to help out Juice Wells and Jordan Watkins so much. It's going to help out Caden Prieskorn so much. Each of them are going to be better players because of Deion Smith. And everybody's going to say, listen to this, like, well, Deion Smith's not in school yet. And I agree with that. I understand that situation. I genuinely believe that Deion Smith is on the Tim Bowens plan. I just do. It might be right, it might be wrong, but that's just my belief of what is happening. Nobody's going to say it. Nobody's going to talk about it. But Deion Smith is going to enroll into the fall semester, and we're going to roll the dice on whether or not he is available for the playoffs. That is the situation. But the season is going to be really good because of him being on the field. And I think he's truly going to be on the field. And I think Aiden Williams learning from him, because they do have a talent similarity. But Deion Smith is the secret weapon this year. And the reason I say secret weapon is nobody in the national media is talking about him. Nobody, honestly, in the local media is talking about him, other than the fact of whether or not he's on campus. Whenever people talk about the Ole Miss wide receiver unit, they never mention Deion Smith because they don't know about him. That is the reason he's a secret weapon. Ole Miss is getting all the love they get at the wide receiver position based off of Trey Harris, Juice Wells, and Jordan Watkins. Period. That's it. Deion Smith is going to surprise people. And because of that, I think we're all in a position that we could enjoy what we're going to see. Whenever Jaxson Dart talks about his wide receivers, like he was down at the Manning Passing Academy, and he was talking about Juice Wells and all the players, he lit up because of what they could be. I genuinely believe this could be a really fun year if you're an Ole Miss fan. Should be really fun indeed. Anyway, thanks for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your first listen of the day. Have you noticed fans of opposing teams, they've ramped up their hypotheticals about Ole Miss? Well, it's jealousy, and it won't affect 2024, but they do it anyway. I'll explain why. I love sports. I love them so much, I never want them to stop. But as the playoffs wind down, we get fewer and fewer games, and the sports aren't sportsing like we want them to. But FanDuel lets me keep the sports going whenever I want. All I have to do is open the app, dream up any bets at any time I'm in the mood. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day all summer long. So over at FanDuel.com/lockedon and start making the most out of your summer. FanDuel, it's an official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. Are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day and you have to turn down the volume with all of that screaming and shouting? Make the switch over to Locked On Sports today. It's a free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed for you each and every single day to bring you the biggest stories without all of that screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't miss analysis, opinions, and news streamed 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. And also tonight at 7 o'clock, I get to meet all of y'all at Walk Ons in Ridgeland, Mississippi. I think Derek Vandigriff's going to be down there. Tom Vanderford may be down there as well. We're going to have Justin's from Stewart's Cajun Dill Pickles down there as well. And, you know, many, many things. I think we have some swag set up coming in from College Corner. I got to go pick that up tonight as well. But it should be fun to have a nice low-key meeting and a chance to hang out with everybody, meet and talk and all of that good stuff. It's going to be a very informal event. We'll talk about it in the third segment. But it should be fun, and at least everybody's going to get some red beans and rice out of the deal, and that's always a good thing. And there's still time to join the Grove Collective and help Ole Miss football be elite. You can go to thegrovecollective.com and join today. All right, so it is basically hypotheticals ramping up season because you have a situation to where, let's take in Auburn, and this isn't a shot at Auburn, so before anybody says that, I'm not doing that. I'm just using a hypothetical like they're using with Ole Miss. They don't like being behind Ole Miss. They don't like being a lesser program perceptionally than Ole Miss. They don't like that at all. And right now, there's probably 5 programs in the entire country that can even have an argument that they're in a better shape than Ole Miss. So if you think about it, that's probably 13 teams in the Southeastern Conference that can genuinely beef about all of the attention that Ole Miss is getting. And Ole Miss deserves that attention. But in that name of fandom, and fans are unbelievably unrealistic, and I love them for that. We do a good job with the lack of realism anyway, but they do an excellent job of clapping back at Ole Miss, and they're fighting back, and they've heard for 6 months how good Ole Miss is, and everybody gives out their top 5, and Ole Miss is on it. Ole Miss is going to make the playoff and all of that. And schools like Auburn and Mississippi State and LSU, they're just not going to hear it. So what you have is a ton of hypotheticals that have leaked out. And that's what it is at this point. It is just hypotheticals. Yes, Ole Miss got 4 decommitments in 1 week. Yes, but it's still a hypothetical that they're not going to end up at Ole Miss. They're just saying they want finality so that they can make fun of it. Say, see, everything that I'm thinking is completely justified because of this happening in mid-June. It doesn't make much sense. It's completely irrational, but that doesn't stop people from doing it. It doesn't. And you have other ones like, hey, what if Ole Miss is in a playoff run and Lane Kiffin goes to Florida? You've seen that one pop up over the course of the week. It's like Lane Kiffin going down to Florida. That sounds like a real tight situation for Ole Miss. What if a playoff level Ole Miss team loses their head coach? Ooh, spooky. Those hypotheticals are fan bases, trying to generate clicks whenever you're doing it, but the other fan base is trying to make themselves feel better. And you can understand why they're doing it. It's because of that deep-seated belief that they are above Ole Miss, or at least on the same level as Ole Miss. So they are very much uncomfortable with the fact that they are behind Ole Miss. And in some case, several leagues behind Ole Miss. So don't buy the bait. Enjoy this football season, because all of this anxiety-inducing stuff that they're doing, all the hypotheticals, are designed to make Ole Miss fans not enjoy this season, because they're not enjoying Ole Miss where they are. Ole Miss fans need to not enjoy it either. So don't worry about it at all. Simple. I mean, it really is simple. You can choose how you let stuff affect you. But, you know, the decommitments, those aren't going to be on the 2024 roster. It has zero effect on the 2024 season. There's no reason to get worked up one way or another about a committed player in June. Whenever you're worried about hypotheticals and coach, hey, I've seen predictions on there that Florida's going to win in 8 games. If they do that, they're not going after a coach. So why are we having the discussion that Lane Kiffin is all of a sudden going to take the Florida job? Which, by the way, if that rumor and when that rumor comes up, I'm going to poo-poo it pretty hard because I have it on pretty good authority that the board is not Lane Kiffin friendly down at the University of Florida. Now, University of Miami, I think people need to worry about that job. They need Mario Cristobal to win some games. But I don't think the University of Florida is something that anybody necessarily needs to worry about. Gainesville is not Boca Raton. Is not. It's not even Orlando. Gainesville is Mobile, is Pensacola, is Panama City, is Tallahassee. That's what Gainesville is. Lane Kiffin, whenever you hear Florida, there's many different types of Florida. There's not just one Florida. So keep that in mind as well. And also keep in mind that I think everybody needs to put in their mind and make it stick that they're going to enjoy this football season. This is the football season that we have waited for our entire lives if we're below 70. This is that football season. Now, whether or not it comes to fruition, we can still enjoy the ride. And the ride's going to be a really fun thing. It is. So block out all of this noise on the outside and do your best to enjoy this. And it should be a lot of fun, honestly. It should be real fun. Thanks again for making Locked On Ole Miss your first listen. Tonight, meet and greet is kind of kicking off this most anticipated season in the history of Ole Miss. We'll talk about what you can expect tonight. And we'll talk about, I don't know, what my plans and my expectations for tonight is. Anyway. Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, and now it's also available on Amazon Fire TV on the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows that cover every single league. Locked On Sports Today is now available on the free Fire TV channels app. Be part of history. So tonight we are going to be doing basically our first tour stop. You know, if you think about it, it's the first time that we have done something like this. And I do not know what to expect. 5 people could show up, 500 people can show up, but this is going to be a very informal thing, okay? Just everybody set expectation. We're not going to have speakers. We're not doing it. That's the reason we're not charging tickets for this event. This is a chance for me to meet listeners of the program. This is a chance for other Loom community members to meet other Loom community members. This is a chance for me to meet Derek Vandigriff face-to-face and Tom Vanderford face-to-face. That is what is going to go on in this meet and greet. We're going to have some swag to give away. I've got stickers to where I could give those away to at least everybody. Everybody can have a Locked On Ole Miss sticker, it seems like. I got a couple of tumblers I'm going to give away, which, you know, being fully honest about it, Derek's probably going to get one of those and Tom's probably going to get the other, but that is something. We'll see what the swag is at the College Corner. We'll be able to give that away. But it's a chance for me to walk around and meet people like David Holly, like those players or those people that have constantly done it. We did a little meet and greet in Lakeland, Florida, of all places, last year. And 12 people showed up at an impromptu meet and greet. David Holly was one of those people, and that gave me the idea the next time I came to Mississippi to at least do something like this, or at least attempt to do something like this. Like, I don't know how it's going to be received. I don't know what's going to happen, but we are going to try and set something up for the future. This will be a harbinger of potentially what is to come. Like, I want to basically go to Oxford if Ole Miss hosts a playoff game for about a week, to where I do the shows, you know, from different locations. Maybe I contact Walker Jones and do stuff at the Grove Collective businesses around Oxford, do a show there every single day, something like that. But tonight will be an indicator of whether or not that needs to be pursued. Because what is the interest and things like that. Now, we'll see exactly how it goes. I'm genuinely looking forward to meeting everybody that's been listening and who I've interacted with in the chat and all of that good stuff. But it's a situation to where we just get to have a good time and we get some red beans and rice out of the deal. And as a good Southern Mississippi boy, I enjoy my red beans and rice. It's a lot of fun. And I hope everybody has a good time. Now, before we get out of here, I do want to remind everybody, we did W's and L's last week. And I want everybody to remember what's going on because this is the worst content week of the year, period. It's not even particularly close. 4th of July week is absolutely terrible for content. It just is. So maybe this got mixed up on Friday because not a lot of people watched it. The 2024 Ole Miss Rebels, this is what I have them this year. I have them beating Furman, MTSU, Wake, and Georgia Southern. Wake is not even forecasted to win 6 games this year, by the way. Have them beating Kentucky, South Carolina, at LSU, and Oklahoma, and at Arkansas to start the season off 9-0. I've got them losing to the Georgia Bulldogs. I've got them beating the Florida Gators. I've got them beating the Mississippi State Bulldogs for an 11-1 finish. And honestly, if Georgia takes care of business against Texas and Alabama, okay, 11-1, that right there should see Ole Miss going to Atlanta. Atlanta is not the goal. You know, I always talk all the time. An AFC East championship game makes no sense for the NFL. So why would it make sense in college football? But there is a chance for Ole Miss to go to Atlanta. And there's so many jokes that people like to tell over and over again. There's the Ole Miss at home again, the Omaha one, that old thing before Ole Miss won the national title, the SEC championship game. Everybody likes to bag on Ole Miss. And I think everybody needs to really enjoy this season and know that all of that bagging is going to come back on them as well. It is going to get severe. They're going to do it more and more and more and more. It's almost going to be a reverse Colorado type thing going on. It genuinely is Ole Miss versus everybody. And if Ole Miss goes in this with the expectation of playoffs or bust, they do the Ole Miss versus everybody. You've got all the motivation in hand to be, honestly, a pretty good team this season. We'll see how it goes, but I'm looking forward to how it might shake out. So thanks again for making Locked On Ole Miss your first listen of the day. We have the most perspective surrounding Ole Miss sports, and it's one of the many reasons why we're the #1 Ole Miss podcast out there, and thank you for that, honestly. But for your second listen, Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows that cover every single league. Find Locked On Sports Today now available for free on the free Fire TV Channels app. For those of you on YouTube, though, we're going to send you there right now. I'll see everybody tonight. Howdy, everyone.